And we're going to use the verb pakad as our paradigm verb. The word paradigm means model, and it means to visit or to appoint. Okay? To visit or to appoint. Here's what the vowel points are going to look like for the cal. When we get to the nifal and the pl and pual, we'll have different vowel points. So this is the cal stems vowel points in the perfect. So I'm going to have my 3 root letters, and it's got a long A under root 1 followed by a short A. So it's pakad. Say that with me. Pakad. Pakad. So this means 3ms, no ending, he appointed. We'll use appoint for our meaning. So he appointed. Pakad. Now, if you can remember these two vowels that go into the consonants, remember the 3ms form as the basic form, then we could actually show you how all the other vowel points come about. So if I take, for example, pakad, long A, and a pathak here, and I add a comma te to it, the dalet will slide over and take this vowel, and it'll also take the accent. So the tone is second syllable here in pakad. But when I add the comma te, it becomes pakada. The accent's going to slide over to the dalet, and that's going to leave this open and pretonic. What did you learn verbs do with open pretonic syllables in chapter 8? Do you remember what I had you do? Yes, these reduce to vocal shava. Nouns and adjectives reduce open propertonic syllables to vocal shava, but verbs like to reduce open pretonic syllables to vocal shava. So this now becomes open and pretonic, so my pathak is going to change to a vocal shava. The long A under the root 1 pe is going to stay long A, but because I have this kametz followed by a vocal shava, I will see a metheg frequently to tell you to pronounce that as the long A. So pakad and then pakada. Pakad, pakada. And that would be she appointed. Okay, so say that with me. Pakad and pakada. All right. Now, I take pakad from the 3ms and I add ta to the end and a silent shava under root 3, and I've got my form. Pakad ta. So same vowels here. Pakad ta. But where is my accent based on what you see here? The accent's on root 2. It's on the kof, right? So this is the deal with stress. We want to stress root 2 wherever we can, unless something makes the stress go back 1 syllable. Where will I see that happen? If I have vocalic endings, those vowels like to pull the stress to the end. You saw this with words like sus. Add a comma te, and it's not susa, but susa, right? Susim, susot. Those vocalic endings are like the big kid that you put on the back of the tug-of-war rope, right? And he pulls everybody to the back, okay? Vocalic endings are like the chubby kid at the back, the anchor, right, of the tug-of-war rope. All right? And then we'll see some other places where the accent gets pulled to the back. If there's no vocalic ending, then I'm going to want to try to stress root 2. So pakad, root 2, and pakadta, root 2. Pakadta. So this is you man appointed. Say that with me. Pakadta. You woman, pakad. 2 silent shavas there. So pakad. Say that with me. Good. Pakad. That's kind of hard to say, isn't it? Pakad. Pakad. So that's you woman appointed. And then I is just T. So pakadti. Pakadti. So I appointed. Now, over here to say they appointed, I add the shurik to root 3, and that is vocalic. So not only is the dalet not going to have a silent shava anymore, it's going to slide over and take its vowel, and this will be open and pretonic, and so the pathak that was here will reduce to a vocal shava. So pakadu. Say that, pakadu. That's what roosters say in the morning. Pakadoodle-doo. Okay, so pakadu, they appointed. And that they could be any gender. Okay, we don't distinguish genders here. So on the singular side, we distinguish he versus she, but on the plural side, they are all the same. All right, for y'all, we do distinguish gender, tem and ten. So if you need some help, the mame at the end of tem might make you think of masculine, right? The M stands for masculine, ten then becomes the feminine form. Here, I'd like to have seen my long A that I see all the way through here, pa, 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 pa. But when I add the tem ending, the stress is going to move to the end here. It's not going to be on root 2. And that means this will be open and proprotonic, and Hebrew is going to reduce that long A to vocal shiva in both of these cases, okay? So pakadtem becomes pukadtem. Here's the other place where my stress gets pulled to the back. These are called the heavy consonantal endings, tem and ten. Why are they called heavy? Well, if you take the endings as I wrote them out for you over here, look at the consonantal endings. I have ta, t, t, tem, ten, and nu. How many sounds are in ta? A T and an A. That's 2, right? How many sounds are in t? 1. T, 2, nu, 2. So at most, these 4 have 2 sounds. Tem and ten, how many sounds do I have? 3. I have consonant, vowel, consonant in both of these. Well, if you put these on a scale, which one would weigh more? Ta or tem? Well, of course, tem would, right? Because it's got 3 things instead of 2. It's heavier than the other consonantal endings, and they pull the stress to the back as well. All right? So tem and ten are my heavy consonantal endings, and they pull the stress to the end. So vocalic endings pull the stress back, and tem and ten pull the stress back, and that's why I have p instead of pa. All right? And the accent on the tem and ten. So everybody, let's say these. Pukadtem and pukadten. So this is y'all appointed male, y'all, and y'all appointed female, y'all. And then we appointed, everybody. We're back to the stress on root 2, pakadnu. Pakadnu. So we appointed. All right. So I have a little story that I tell my students. It's sort of the other Hebrew love story, where if you think of your root letters, R3 refers to root 3, R2 refers to root 2, R1 would be root 1. All right. In the ideal world, with these 3 root letters, like in pakad, let me go ahead and erase this and write that out. We have roots 1, 2, and 3. How would we divide the syllable here? Pakad? Well, I would divide it right here, wouldn't I? Okay. So most of the time in the CalPerfect, root 1 is going to be open with a long vowel. Root 2 and 3 form what kind of a syllable? Open or closed? Closed. Okay, so I like to see roots 2 and 3 forming a closed syllable. I liken this to root 3 and root 2 being married to each other, right? Because they form a unit. They are a unit together. Root 2 and root 3 are married, and they are, well, happily married. But root 3 is sometimes a scoundrel. And root 3 thinks that vocalic endings are sexy. Okay? When root 3 sees a vocalic ending, root 3 says, well, root 2, it was nice knowing you, but I'm going to go hang out with this vowel over here. Okay? And so root 3 sort of breaks up here and follows the vocalic ending. With kamate and with shurik, these are historically long vowels. Root 3 will go off and start a new life with them. All right? On the other hand, root 3 thinks that consonantal endings are very ugly. So when root 3 sees a consonantal ending, he's not very interested in connecting with a consonantal ending. So root 3 does what? Root 3 stays married to root 2 with all of these consonantal endings that we see here. So pa, cod, ta. See how roots 2 and 3 are still together here? Pacad, t. Root 2 and 3 are still together. And in this consonantal ending, they are still together. Okay? So you can think about your root 3 that way. When it sees a vocalic ending, it follows it. When it sees a consonantal ending, it says, you be your own syllable. All right? I'm happy hanging out with root 2 over here. You really should use the practice sheet to practice writing the personal endings here, and then use the other practice sheet to practice filling in the vowel points and the personal endings for the cal perfect paradigm. All right? So let's really commit these to memory. The sooner you do it, the easier your translation work is going to be, I promise you. All right? In ROS 10.4, and this is on page 88, we meet with the problem of gutturals as one of the 3 root letters. You remember how I told you that when the verb is a strong verb, all the consonants are normal and there are no irregularities. But if I've got a weak verb and gutturals are weak consonants, they cause problems, then we're going to have some slight irregularities. But if you remember the characteristics of gutturals, you will not be blindsided by them when they are one of the root letters. What are the guttural consonants? Well, there are 4 real gutturals and then the guttural wannabe, right? Aleph, He, Chet, Ayin are the true guts, and Resh is the guts wannabe. What are the characteristics of these? For all of them, they don't take no dagesh forte from anyone. Number 2, when you want to put a vocal shava under a guttural, you can't. What do you have to put instead? You have to put one of the compound shavas. Which one do they like? Most of all, the A-class ones, right? Are silent shavas okay under a guttural? Yes, they are. And then they have a preference for A-class vowels. Aleph does like sagol, so if Aleph can get a sagol, it will. But even Aleph will take an A-class vowel at times. So when you look at ROS chapter 10.4, here's the situation here. Under number 1, so this is now on page 89, he gives you the verb amad. Amad. And which one of these consonants in the verb amad is the guttural? Root 1, 2, or 3? Which one of these letters is the guttural? Ayin, mem, or dalet? Ayin. So that's root 1. Okay, so this is a root 1 guttural. So where am I going to have problems with a guttural in root 1 position? Well, look at your paradigm here. Do we have any dagesh fortes in the cal perfect conjugation pattern? You see the pays here. Are those dagesh fortes? No. So do I have a dagesh forte anywhere in root 1 in the cal perfect conjugation? No, I don't, right? So dagesh forte is not a problem if I have a guttural in root 1 position. Do I have any vocal shavas under root 1? Yes. Where do I see vocal shavas under root 1? Right here. The second masculine plural and the second feminine plural, right? So when I want to say y'all did something, I'm going to have a vocal shava. So, under normal circumstances, amad would become this. It would be vocal shava, mod, tem, right? The heavy consonantal ending pulls the stress. So this being open and proprotonic would reduce to a vocal shava. Can the ayin take a vocal shava? Nope. And so it takes instead a compound shava of the A-class variety. So it gets that, okay? That's the only thing that this little section is trying to tell you, okay? Is that when you needed a vocal shava, the guttural says, give me a compound shava, okay? The second verb that he gives you in number 2 here is the verb bahar. So amad means to stand. Bahar means to choose. And which one of these is the true guttural here? Root 1, 2, or 3? Root 2. Okay, so in amad, ayin's root 1 is the guttural. Here, root 2 is the guttural. So let's go back over here. Where am I going to have a problem with the guttural occupying the root 2 position where the kof is in pakad? It's the third feminine singular because that's a vocal shava. And the third common plural. That's a vocal shava, okay? So what's bahar going to do? The cow perfect of bahar would have been bahar like this, and this should have become ba ch ra, right? With a vocal shava. Can I put a vocal shava there under the chet? No. So I'm going to put a compound shava instead. So I get bachara like that. Okay? And again, that's all he's trying to help you see, is that these gutturals have predictable things that they do. And if you remember the guttural characteristics, then you won't be surprised by this. All right? So that's our form here. Anybody remember what Shema means? You know the Shema in the Old Testament? The confession of faith? What's it? Who knows what the Shema is? It's in Deuteronomy 6. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. The first word of that verse is hear, and it's the Hebrew word Shema, which means hear. Okay? So the verb shama means to hear. So where is my guttural in terms of root position? Root 1, 2, or 3 here? It's root 3, okay? And so here's where we're going to have some problems. And this is the only place that we have this issue. If you look on page 89 under section 3, the second feminine singular form should be shama. Okay? This is the 2FS form. Shamat. Shamat. Right? Like pakad. See that double silent shava here. Okay? Now, theoretically, this is okay because you learned that silent shavas under gutturals are okay, right? Vocal shavas are not okay, but silent shavas are okay. So there's nothing wrong with this. This should be okay. Shamat. But there is one problem, and that is the guttural is produced where? In your mouth. Way in the back. Right? So if I have to produce an ayin sound, what am I going to have to do with my lips? I got to open them. But how do I pronounce a T sound? I got to bring my jaw back because that tongue wants to make contact with the teeth to make the T sound, right? T, t, t. Shamat. So what's going to happen here is that the ayin sound is going to produce something like that furtive pathak that we saw. Remember that furtive pathak like with Noah? It's really Noach, but it becomes Noach. The word for spirit is Ruach. Okay? And so this silent shava is going to be converted to a pathak, and it becomes Shama'at. Shama'at. Okay? And my accent is going to be on that mem, Shama'at. And the one thing that's peculiar here is that that's a vowel sound, and this tav is a begad kafat letter, that dagesh lene should go away, shouldn't it? But look at your book. What do you see here? Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? That dagesh lene gets to stay right where it is. So, and it's probably because this pathak is really not a genuine vowel. It's just this little vocalic sound to get from the of the guttural sound to the tav at the front of the mouth. Okay, so shema'at, shema'at. Okay, so that's you, woman, heard. You heard. Okay, so that's your forms there.